It's Monday, February 22nd, and it's time for your Barbados Today morning news update. The mandatory weekend lockdown has been lifted, but Health and Wellness Minister Lieutenant Colonel Jeffrey Bostic urged the public not to use it as a passport to venture out on the island's roads. A mandatory stay-at-home order went into effect on Friday, February 19th at 7 p.m. until 6 a.m. this morning. And in a national address last evening, Minister Bostic said, while the last 2 days were useful in helping curb the spread of the virus, the number of positive cases was still not improving as he would like.
Perhaps I should share with you the figures for yesterday alone so that you get an idea of how dangerous and indeed how reckless and irresponsible it is for you to be heading out every day with no urgent business to conduct. On Saturday, February 20th, a total of 756 tests were evaluated by the Best Dos Santos laboratory. From those 756 tests, 57 were returned as positive, 28 males and 29 females. 53 of the 57 carry Barbados ID cards. So after a clear 2 weeks into the period of pause, we still have 57 persons out of 756 tests being determined positive in a single day. That is too high a number. It is too high a positivity rate. It is telling me that we still have a long way to go before we can declare ourselves on top of the COVID crisis in Barbados. I know and understand very well that we cannot keep the population on lockdown forever. I understand that you have to go about your legitimate business. I understand that commerce must recommence. I understand that we need to keep the economy turning, even if not churning. But I would like to appeal to you to make each departure from your home a necessary departure, and a departure that is with focus and purpose.
The number of active COVID-19 cases on island now stands at 771. So far, 2,772 confirmed cases have been recorded, comprising 1,272 females and 1,500 males. 1,970 persons have recovered, and there have been 31 deaths from the viral illness. At the same time, Minister Bostic disclosed that his ministry was working to address issues with the transporting of COVID-19 patients, as well as accommodation for persons awaiting test results whose living environment may be crowded.
We are continuously working to reduce the wait time and have augmented the transportation system. There will be more buses pressing to action so that we can improve on the times that people are waiting before collection. I also want to reiterate that after conversations with the Prime Minister this weekend, we have agreed that the government of Barbados is prepared to put persons whose living conditions may be overcrowded into a quarantine hotel while they are waiting for their results. My ministry will therefore work on a program tomorrow morning to put in place arrangements for those persons whose home accommodation does not allow easily for separation and quarantining. We are not going to leave those of you at the mercy of your circumstances by leaving those who may be awaiting test results or transport in crowded homes where the virus can spread to others. The government is adamant that where we need to step in to ensure that you can be kept safe and those around you can equally be kept safe, we are prepared to do that.
Chairman of the Barbados Tourism Marketing Inc., Roseanne Myers, has welcomed Minister Bostic's announcement of the use of quarantine hotels for those persons who have space challenges at home. Speaking on Barbados Today's virtual program last night on the topic COVID-19, what now, what's next, she said that the tourism sector continued to be hard hit by the pandemic.
2021 actually is worse, way worse than 2020, simply because 2020 we would have had most of our high season behind us. We would have had some resources in the bank, thankfully, because that's what took us through the summer. And we would have had a situation where you could say to employees, I'll give you your vacation, 26 weeks unemployment, and therefore from that perspective, you know that your people at least had a base. This year is very, very different. And when you look at hotels, hotels have been able to pivot, some of them to be quarantine centers and isolation centers. Not all of them, but some of them. Some of them have benefited from some of the nursing staff that came in, the Cuban nurses, the Nigerian nurses, and the ones that are nimble have been able to really rejig their product to be able to do what is required. I was interested to hear the Minister Bossett speak about giving some opportunity for people in homes that may be very, very small curtilage who may be infected to go into a facility in a hotel. I think that that's absolutely something that the tourism sector will facilitate, because at the end of the day, we have to help the country to beat the virus. We have the rooms and they're empty. So we need to be able to do and pivot and do what we need to do.
The head of the Barbados Private Sector Association, Ed Clark, was also a guest on the program. He said the COVID-19 situation has virtually crippled the sector, and the level of uncertainty continues to be a cause for concern.
We don't have any certainty. Nobody has certainty. We don't know how to plan. I know nobody really understands the full gamut of COVID yet, and the impact on the economy and the lives of Barbadians and the globe. But we need to have some better idea on when will Barbadians be able to say, well, we have succeeded or we have not succeeded. And we were asking for that prior to the lockdown, and we're still awaiting that. We were hearing about the positivity rate, the error rate. I know Dr. Williams is adding other things. I can understand the resource issues. Everybody would know that we have resource limitations. But there needs to be some way that we would know, well, this is it, ladies and gentlemen, this is what we have to aim for as a country, and this is what we are doing. Business in Barbados is going through hell right now. There's no doubt about it. And as a result, employees are at risk. The future employment of Barbadians is at risk. I know many people don't want to hear that, but it's the reality of the situation. Many small businesses have failed in 2020, and many more will fail in 2021 because of where we are at this time and where we are going.
Meantime, a minister in the Ministry of Finance, Ryan Strawn, gave the assurance that government will continue to provide the necessary support where possible to assist Barbadians in the current climate. Minister Strawn was speaking on the Barbados Today program, COVID-19 What Now, What's Next, last night.
The government will continue to fight COVID-19, but we determine exactly what the money is spent on, and the reality is that there's only one pot of money. And therefore, we want to focus on how do we continue to drive as much domestic economic activity, which is critical if the virus does not keep spreading. And what is it that is required for the virus to not spread? It means that all of us as Barbadians have to follow the protocols very, very, very deliberately, very intensely, in order to ensure that whenever we want to go and do our leisure, that there is no virus in Barbados, and that therefore we can, until vaccinations reach the level that makes us all comfortable, that we can get through. But outside of that, the national insurance has as a result of the unemployment, certainly has spent more than over $100 million in unemployment benefits to Barbadians. With respect to the tourism and the other support measures, those continue to be about $3 million a month with respect to those who are engaged in the BEST program, and we're continuing to support in other ways. And when we do the appropriation bill in Parliament next month, there will be a fuller exposition in terms of what has been done so far.
There's regional and international news after this short break.
Barbados Today, news you can trust.
The news from the region: investigations are continuing in the Bahamas into a plane crash in the waters off North Cat Key on Saturday. According to the Air Accident Investigation Authority, officials received information about the incident shortly before 2 p.m. local time. More from Eyewitness News.
3 people are recovering in hospital after they were involved in a plane crash in waters off of Cat Key on Saturday. According to reports, 3 people, including the pilot, were on board a single-engine Piper PA-28 when the plane experienced engine problems, resulting in a crash landing in the water. All of those on board received non-life-threatening injuries and were taken to the Cat Key Public Clinic and then to the Rand Memorial Hospital in Grand Bahama for further treatment.
And finally, United Airlines to ground some 24 of its Boeing 777 aircraft after one of its jets suffered engine failure after takeoff on Saturday. No injuries were reported, but the plane carrying 231 passengers and 10 crew was forced to return to the Denver airport. More in this CBS News report.
Just moments into United Flight 328 from Denver to Honolulu, an engine on fire was the view for alarmed passengers as the pilots radioed the tower.
Aircraft just experienced an engine failure, need to turn immediately.
The damaged engine rained down debris on Broomfield, Colorado, some 20 miles from Denver's airport. People on the ground watched in horror.
Something blew up
as engine parts fell from the sky, landing on streets, front yards, and homes.
We heard another big bang and looked out our front window right as the engine cowl rolled into the tree. So it landed right straight up and down in the bed of my truck, smashed the whole truck in, and then fell off the truck and landed leaning against the tree that's right there right now.
This doorbell camera captured the sound of metal hitting the ground. Debris fell through the roof of this home while a father was making his daughter's sandwiches. Remarkably, no one was hurt.
As soon as it started to hit, it sounded like a war zone around here.
National Transportation Safety Board officials are telling residents to be cautious.
Please don't touch the debris. We want to keep it intact for the NTSB.
That's news. But for the very latest, visit us at www.barbadostoday.bb. You can also subscribe to our e-paper, email updates, or like us on Facebook, and sign up for our breaking news alerts via WhatsApp. We're also on Izumi Media in bus terminals, as well as screenplay at supermarkets and gas stations near you. And you can also hear us on Mix 96.9 FM and Capital Media HD 99.3 FM.